Yeah, so Tailored Brands, most people have no idea what that is, but you probably know who Men's Wearhouse is, or Joseph A. Bank. Moore's if you live in Canada, or K&G if you live in the Southeast. But primarily, a retailer of men's dress-up apparel, so suits, ties, dress shirts, that kind of thing. I see a lot of them walking around, people dressing this, so I appreciate that. It's been a minute. To kind of, before I talk about the key challenges, just kind of talk about how we were introduced to Gurhan and team. And I think I met Gurhan in 2018 or so at RELA, and I loved, like Casey was describing, I loved the process, and I loved the science behind it. And being a reformed merchant myself, I wasn't necessarily responsible for that. I was a buyer, assistant buyer allocator in my earlier days. I've been at Tailored Brands for 35 years, but owned the supply chain. And I would run into him at a show once or twice a year, and we'd have the same conversation about how awesome, the science is, and it's something I'd really like to take advantage of at some point. And I think it was the first show after COVID, and we were in Orlando, and it was one of those things where you've probably done it before, where you see that same person that you really like, and you're like, oh God, I don't have anything for him. And, he's looking at me, and we go, and so I start talking, and he's like, well, when are you going to give us a chance? And I said, we have this rental business. And so if you know Men's Wearhouse or Joseph A. Bank, like in Moore's, like we rent tuxedos and suits for special occasions. It's a very unique business because it's a circular inventory. So you buy a coat, you rent it 50 times. When during peak season we have 100,000 outfits out at weddings and proms and social events, that's 800,000 units that are floating around, that are either being built for the next week, in transit for the week that's happening, or on the way back for the week before that. So there's 2.4 million SKUs flowing around during peak season. And, we had no merchandising system for it. We didn't have a good one. I know that because I designed it like 20 years ago. So it was basically a purchase order management system that we just extracted data out of into Excel, and we made decisions based off of. So the challenge to Gurhan and team was, can you help us manage this beast we call rental, and help us optimize, what our product's going to be available, and where we have challenges with availability based off bookings, because bookings are occurring all the time, so for weddings that are in the future and so forth. And they solved the problem. And so that was really the gateway for our team. Like we operate off less inventory. We're more stable when we have product that we're introducing, which isn't as often as aloe. Fortunately, men don't change their mind. Black is pretty much the thing in that area. We were successful with that, and our merchant organization took note of that and started asking questions around what other things could Invent do, and that was kind of the gateway into our retail merchant organization. And so, just like everybody else here, I mean, you're dealing with a whole lot of variables all the time, a lot of disruption, chasing tariff, trying to understand how you're going to fund that without making significant price increases and so forth. One of the things we looked at was we really want to reduce our inventory. We want to do the same amount of business off less inventory, but we want to be more efficient with it. And I think that's where Invent really shined for us. You always, we're a 52-year-old business, so the pressure to grow 2 or 3% a year is definitely there. And we've had some of our most profitable years just in the last few. We are 70% replan as a business. There's a lot of basics that are flowing through, and we needed to be more in stock on that and drive our top line by being better in stock. And we had a lot of manual processes, even though we had some systems in place. You have as many divisions as we do in a buying and an allocation team for each of them, and they all have a slightly different way of doing it. We had forecasting tools that, in our opinion, were just, you'd reach out to a supplier and you'd say, I need, this much, and then 30 days later, you'd say, oh, I need less, and then 30 days after that, you'd say, oh, I need more. And it was very hectic. So being able to kind of put some science behind it, and really understand how we're going to improve the businesses, really where Invent was allowed us to be able to have a whole lot more productivity from our retail merchandising organization as well.